All right, at home learners, today's class was mainly just, well, it was a lot of them working together and working on stuff. So I started recording, and I was like, this is not going to be entertaining for you guys. So I figured I'd leave you one here and kind of tell you what I want to do, what I want you to do, and then we're going to meet tomorrow over Zoom. So just remember to Zoom in during your class period tomorrow. So, we started class. We talked for about 5 minutes, and I set an alarm to keep it at 5 minutes about that video that we watched, and that was part of your ed puzzle. And I asked for three things from you regarding, what you learned, what you observed from that. So I will check your ed puzzle for that Switchfoot video, but I'll also ask you about it during our Zoom tomorrow. Okay, so hopefully you watch this video before that. This will be a pretty short one, so you'll probably be able to do that. So be ready to give me a little bit of feedback, even though you wrote an ed puzzle about that music video that we watched. From there, we practiced their timeline. So I had them practice their Quizlet, and then we did a Quizlet live. So if you know what that is, you kind of get in groups and do things. What I would like you to do for me is I'd like you to go into our Moodle page, find our Quizlet on our timeline, and I'd like you to spend 15 minutes on that. And however you show that to me, prove it to me, you can just email me some screenshots. So I'll trust as long as you're sending me some screenshots. Like, you don't have to prove it's 15 minutes. Prove that you are on it. So there's a variety of things you can do. There's games you can play. The test that you're going to take, that they're going to take, is a multiple choice test. But for you guys, I'm asking you to write it out 3 times for me. So feel free to do what you want. If you want to practice with a multiple choice test, great. If you want to do like the matching thing, just want to use the Quizlet cards, I'll trust your time on that, and just email me some proof, some screenshots of showing like a completion of a game, something that kind of proves to me that you use Quizlet. And I'm asking you to do it for about 15 minutes today, just so you can get used to knowing that timeline. Again, remember, you're going to have to write it out 3 times for me for the timeline test that you're doing. Okay, so we went over that, and we kind of played that game. So that's what we did in class, and then we finished up class with an activity that's on Moodle. It's 1.1. It's called Examining Pasture Lists. So I'd like you guys to complete that and email it to me. So it's not an assignment on Moodle that you turn in. In class, they're working on it in groups, and we're just going to discuss it come Thursday. So what I would like you to do is open that up, complete it, fill it out, and email me your answer to that. Okay? And that's pretty much all I got to tell you about. You're going to Zoom with me tomorrow. So tomorrow we'll talk about the assignment, the primary source reading you're going to do, and just see how you guys are doing. And I'll finally get to see you guys face to face, which will be great. So just to recap, I want you to spend about 15 minutes today, 10 to 15, I'll say 10 to 15 minutes on Quizlet, working on your timeline, learning that. And then I want you to do the examining pasture lists, which most classes today had about 10 to 15 minutes, and they needed some more time. So imagine that would take you about 20 minutes. You'll get on there, and what you're basically doing with that is you're being a historian. So let me introduce that a little bit more rather than just tell you to do it. During the colonial period, England was expanding. It was growing very quickly, almost doubled in size from like 1200 to 1600. And so a lot of people were moving out of England. Is there another place we can go? And then when the new world was discovered, they started going there as colonists. So about 35% of them went as indentured servants, which means they could not afford the passage over, so they agreed to work for someone basically as their slave for a set number of years, like 5 years, and then when they're done, they'd be free, and they will have paid back the cost of their voyage through their work. 35% came in that form. About 85% were servants in general of some sort. So they weren't going, but their masters, the people who employed them, were going. So you get a lot coming over, and what I'm giving you with this document is 2 passenger lists. So the King of England wanted to keep record of who was coming to the colonies, so he had detailed records kept of not of cargo, but mainly in this case, what you're going to look at, passengers who came over. And so I'm asking you to kind of be a historian by looking at these lists, come up with some conclusions. So when you look at that document, you'll have 2 lists of 2 different ships, And at the end, you have a chart to fill out. It'll ask you like how many males are there, how many females are there, things like that, to kind of get you to think through process like a historian. Because oftentimes in history, we know about kind of the leaders, stuff is written about them, people write diaries. We don't know about the average person. So this is what historians have to do to kind of figure out, okay, what was the average person like who came to the colonies? So that's why you're doing it. I think it's kind of fun to interpret this information that way. So look through those lists, fill out that chart, answer the questions. I think it's on page 3 of it, and then email that to me, and we'll actually, let's do this. Rather than email it to me, have it filled out for our Zoom meeting tomorrow, and you can just tell me what you came up with. Let's do that. That way you don't have to email it to me, and we'll just talk about it during Zoom. So in Zoom tomorrow, we'll talk about the song, we'll talk about this passenger list, and I'll just kind of see how you guys are doing. Okay? So if you got any questions, remember 7th period chat I'll have open, and you can pop on there and ask me any questions. Okay? See you guys.